Good morning again. I'm Joe with Joe on the job site, and Phil and I have just finished walking the project. So one of the things we like to do is a peer-to-peer review. Having another general superintendent walk your project to a fresh pair of eyes, to ask questions, to see things from a different perspective. So Phil, we took our walk. What do you think? Did you find our stretch and flex a little entertaining?
Your stretch and flex was very entertaining. I love the music behind it. That always makes it go faster, it seems, and you keep their attention. So that was good.
We let them pick the music, by the way. We put
They did. I was going to ask, who's the DJ?
well, once a week.
Yep.
When they get their safety awards, they throw it in a hat and they get to pick the music to use for the stretch and flex.
Very well done. The job site itself is very clean, looks great. Saw a lot of old faces out there. It was fun to see them. They were all saying, "Well, are you coming to take Joe's place?" And I said, "No, I could never do that, ever." But no, it was fun.
You're too short.
It's good. Yeah, too short and bald. But it was a good job site. I love the way you used stair scaffolding on the multiple levels.
Yes, the
And
access tower.
Finally got away from ladders.
Yep.
We're getting farther and farther away from that. I think that's a great aspect. I love the way you got your lay down yard all in the back, nice, clean. Everything is stacked in nice, clean order. Everything's where it's supposed to be.
Makes it easy to get through and pick
Very
up the
accessible.
material.
Gates on both sides. The dumpsters are all lined up nice and neat on the other side. I did see where they had filled two of the dumpsters in that one area, but they made a nice clean pile. So as soon as those are pulled, that pile will go right back in. They didn't just stop and say, we can't clean anymore.
Yeah.
That's
and
an old adage.
that's something we need to handle differently. We need to get more dumpsters and set the cycle a little bit better to help that fix,
Right.
because nobody wants to handle it twice.
That and your trash makeup it ebbs and flows. You'll have one week you'll have a lot of trash, another week you won't have much. So you do the best you can with the trucks and the hauling and all that. I think it looks great.
Yeah. Well, in this particular project, they didn't charge us a rental on the dumpster. It's just a dump fee. So we
Right.
can have 6 or we can have
There you
4.
go. Load the cans up.
Load of cans, keep it clean.
And when you got 2 or 3, have them pulled.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love seeing all the green tags, all the safety tags on all the equipment. All the scaffolding that was out there had green tags on it. I did see one forklift with a red tag on it, something I didn't read it, but at least it had a red tag on it. So that's
There
a great
wasn't
show of
anybody in
safety.
it, was
No,
there?
no, no. It was parked.
Okay.
It was parked.
It's supposed to be
Where it was
parked.
supposed to be.
Yeah. We want to make sure each piece of equipment has an inspection form, whether it's the crane, the forklift, the backhoe, the track hoe. They're all inspections. We have one of the things that we were talking about in our morning meeting is our excavation permits. We've now started using ladder permits because, as you know, our company has gone to podium style ladders only.
Right.
And that works well until you put the ceiling grid in, then it becomes a little bit challenging. But we have a thing called ladders last here. One of the things we do is scissor lifts. We have asked the engineer. The engineer says the concrete deck, after it's cured, will support a 19-foot scissor lift, which is a small one, 16s and 19s, because you're only 14 foot to the deck from deck to deck.
Right.
So that is always the first priority. And then another thing we use is a rolling scaffold. We like to use that with decks and access. And then if we have to, we do the baker. The baker, it's not the favorite thing in the world, but you got some of these small rooms, you have to use it because, you have a specification of when you have to add outriggers, when you have to add handrails and stuff. And then the guys climbing up and down and trying to get in and out of them. So we generally try to plan it to where the scissor lift does the bulk of the work and the small things. And the electricians, we all got together and sat down and said, which way do you want to go? We would love to see your scissor lifts moving through the building. Well, the rough end on the conduits, so we hung them down off the bottom of the beam because they have to be sprayed to steel. And then we let the electrician run his big home runs across the building. And then all of our duct work, it's coming next. And then, of course,
I saw it all stored out there very nicely, covered up, all the ends capped.
I have to have a guy go around every day and check to make sure the ends are still capped. We don't want them in not only in the container, but also when they haul it into the field.
Absolutely.
We have a buck hoist set up on the back side of the building, and that inspection is done daily before the guy gets here. He comes in 30 minutes early, does his check, makes sure the safeties
Up
are
and
on,
down and looks at everything.
and looks at everything. And I don't know if you noticed after we got done with the stretch and flex, most of the guys, when they went into the field, they were geared up.
Geared up and ready to go, and they had their tools and ready to hit the ground running, which is a great get them done and get them ready to go as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The biggest challenge we have is safety glasses.
Oh yeah, and that's always an issue. We've gone to if we caught a guy twice in a day without wearing safety glasses, we made him wear the goggles with the old strap on the back. Don't take it off, and that only takes once, and they don't forget their safety glasses.
Well, that's a good idea because usually what I've been doing out there, and I think I'll do that, is if they get caught twice without them,
Yep.
they get to go home for the rest of the day
Yep.
and come back and try it. If they get caught a third time, they're
See
gone.
ya. Yep, we'll give them 2 chances.
Yeah.
But something else I saw out there is something you and I came up with way back when we first started doing tunnel forms when they got away from block. The quality control and the quality assurance folder that your engineer had, checking the openings on the panels.
Yep.
Before they're poured.
The
Checking all the openings for square. He's checking the rebar. He's checking the embeds. He's looking at everything on that panel before concrete goes on, and as it should be. I mean, everything is correct. I did see him bring the guy over, and they opened up one window 1/4 of an inch, which is great. And that's the kind of stuff you want to catch before it turns to concrete.
Yeah, you don't think that a 1/4 inch shy on an concrete RO is all that much, but you'll be up there with a grinder, and
Yep.
to grind it down, you've got to have
Losing
your dust
time.
collection, and it's time consuming. And the contractors would much rather do the little change now than have to come
Absolutely.
back and grind it.
Yep. Quality control and quality assurance are 2 of the biggest things that are important out there. And it's a great place for beginners, young engineers, or young superintendents to get started to understand the systems. When they have a folder in front of them and they have to meet the criteria of that folder and what they're looking at, it gives them an idea of how this whole thing goes together and how important it is to have that quality control.
Right. Your quality control now makes it better when you're doing your
Absolutely.
finishes. That one young kid, he's probably been doing it about 7 months for us
Right.
now on other projects. And when we brought him over here to start this one, coming out of the ground all the way up to where we're at now, that's been his key element. And he's actually took to it very well. And he really enjoys what he's doing. So we had an intern come out through the summer, and we assigned the intern to him to look and watch and learn what he's
Yep.
doing. And I'll never forget, the intern said, why I thought I should be in the office doing paperwork. I said, until you learn how to do it in the field, you see it in the field, when you're looking at it in the paperwork, it's going to make a whole lot more sense to you.
Absolutely. And it's a great stepping stone for a young superintendent coming up to learn the quality control aspect of the whole job. And like you said, he gets to see it. My engineers are required 2 hours in the field a day, 6 in the office, 2 in the field.
Minimum, yeah.
And I don't care if we're building a barn, you walk around that barn for 2 hours and pick it apart. Understand it. If you got questions, ask us, call me. I'll go explain it to you. Just to get them the idea of so when they're looking at submittals and drawings and things like that, they understand it much, much better and have a feel for it.
The elevator shaft in that building that's going up, we had a young engineer that was doing the shop drawings and checking them. And I don't think he'd ever done one before.
Right.
And so I sat with him. It took me about a day to get him to understand, checking the elevations, the column size, the door, and how to look at the entire assembly of the elevator. And one of the common mistakes that are always made is the fill-ins around the elevator doors.
Yep.
And the newer elevators now have the control panel in the wall on the top floor.
Right.
And they don't use the cylinders, and they're traction elevators that work in a different principle. They take less equipment space,
Right.
but yet work more efficiently and a lot less cost for operations to the owner. But you have to have those ROs for the floor to floors that you have to set. And usually your ground floor has the largest, Your second you usually have 12 inches or so around it and on up through the building all the
Yep.
way to the 20th floor. And then the 20th floor,
And they got to line up.
and they got to line
They got to
up,
line up.
and the shaft can't go like this
No.
either. I did one in Trinidad where we had to put, when we put the elevator in, we lined up the rails.
Put the rails on
We
first.
put the rails on, we lined up, and we had a guy that rode the top of the work deck
Right.
to chip out to get the rails
Back into
in plane where they were supposed to be.
Yep.
And those guys hung piano wire and buckets for 19 floors.
There you go.
To make damn sure. So we didn't have any way of getting in it to check it. We had it shafted when we built it with scaffolding, but now we took it out and we went in. So the little bit of time it takes to work that extra effort pays off along, and that's in every aspect of quality
Absolutely.
control.
Starts in the ground, right in the ground. Another thing that I really liked out there was in your huddle with your superintendents, subcontractor superintendents, the superintendents actually had a couple guys with them, most of them, which will be the next foremans and superintendents. And they were there to learn.
Right.
They wanted to know what we were talking about, why we were talking, and why we're going to do this next. And I like to see that. It's good to see younger people that are interested in moving up.
Well,
you know,
they get the opportunity to learn.
Yes.
They can't get it from a book. You know, people learn in different ways, either seeing, hearing, or doing. And a lot of those field guys are seeing what goes on. And when they're doing it the next time, it's edged in their memory to where they know how to take care of it and make it right. And after they have to fix a couple of them things, they're really going to remember it.
You learn by mistakes big time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we should, we have our schedule up here, and this is our update sheet that we use. And we have our line here with the string that shows our schedule and where we're at in the project. We've got more wall space of it, but this is primarily the submittals and procurement. And we're on the back wall, we have the other side of it, so we show where we're at with the job.
Right.
So this way you can take a real quick glance and you can see when your material's coming to when you're going to be here. And as a rule of thumb, any material you're going to install in place that's bought, like fire sprinkler packages, Division 10s, and the plumbing, electrical, because once you go vertical, if you get up so high, you start running the stacks up and setting it. And one of the last job I did, the metal framer got behind. So we got together with the metal framer and the plumber. And he said, I'll plumb the walls, but you got to frame around me. So until he caught up, we let the plumber plumb the walls without the metal studs up. And then the metal stud guy had to do the framing to fit around it.
Right.
That was a lot better than when they go in and frame it and then they hack it out to put it in.
Yep. Absolutely.
They did great. It was a little problem that turned out to be a great idea.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn out there, by being adaptable. You got to be able to shift with different things as they come up every day. Just like the lunch truck comes in. You let the lunch truck come in, that's fine. All of a sudden there's trash all over the job.
Right.
You let the lunch truck not come in one day, all of a sudden you got a clean job.
Yeah. Well, on the back side of there, we put up a shade structure. We've got about 75 people on the project, and we put it's got fans in there and stuff. So if it's hot or something, one of our safety programs is watching people for heat and the things that can happen during the day if somebody gets overheated, but letting them get out of the building and get down and sit on that picnic table and sit in those fans, eat their lunch. The roach coach brings the food around and parks back there by it, so they get done eating.
And there's a ton of garbage cans.
Oh man,
Yes.
I got one guy that does nothing but go around and empty trash cans.
Right.
Whether it's on the 6th floor or the 1st floor or the 4th floor, wherever it's at, that's his job, is to keep the trash cans empty. We used to have the laborers, we used to tell each company that this week it's your job, this week it's your job.
Right.
It didn't work out.
Because one guy will have a 5-man crew and one guy will have a 20-man crew.
Right. And a 5-man crew ain't going to cut somebody loose for most of the day to empty trash cans. And you'd be surprised at some of the way the guys react when they have enough trash cans. They're more apt to put the stuff in it, which makes it keeping the lunch trash easier. Because, you don't think about it, but when you're up on like the 4th floor deck we fly up the portalets, we fly up all the necessary equipment for them. But when you're up there, they don't have a place to throw the trash. It blows off on the side of the building, and you got to go pick it up next to the
Exactly.
fence.
And it's nobody's trash.
Yeah, and we have a perimeter fence on this site, and we have 2 points of entry. On one side, we have our access gates for the boneyard because the deliverers can come and stay out of the way of the general field. And I have a young engineer that his job, I've walked him and talked with him. I'm stormwater inspector certified, so I've got him to take a look at it. He's actually doing the test here in the next couple of weeks to get his stormwater inspection. But you don't realize how much of that is there. And the second part is when we were putting the footings and foundations in our dewatering system, that permit, I had to keep it operational. You had to go to the website once a week, fill in your water
Right.
discharge and all the fun stuff. And I asked that young kid, I said, "You want to learn this?" He goes, "Yeah, I want to learn it."
Yep.
Well, guess who's doing it now? I just check on him, make sure he's done the right thing. He's looking at it the right way.
Keeping the books up.
He's taken to and I asked him, I said, "Have you checked the piezometer today?"
Oh, Lord.
He goes, "What's a piezometer?" So I have a 100-foot fiberglass tape with a big nut on the end of it. And the top of that piezometer has an elevation written on it. So you drop it in there, and when you hear it go kerplunk,
Mhm.
kerplunk, you read that, and you know what the
There's
elevation
your
of the
water.
top of it is. There's your water depth. Are you safe to dig?
Right.
He goes, "Wow, that's really cool." I go, "It's just an old school thing."
It's something that I preach daily. Find the younger generation that's out there working and try to teach them, try to mentor them, get them to ask questions, give them jobs, challenge them. Those are the ones that are coming up through the ranks that will one day be running their own jobs.
Right. What do you do with the ones that are just there for the paycheck? How do you change their mindset?
You really can't change their mindset, so you have to work around them. You have to find out what they're good at, where you can use them, and know that that's all they're going to do the rest of their life. And that's fine. We need those guys.
Yeah.
Painters are a great example of that. You get painters out there. How far can you go as a painter? Well, you can be a crew leader. You could own your own company, but 90% of them are just going to paint all their life. So all we can do is encourage them to get better at it.
Yeah.
Be the best you can. Understand the paints. Understand how it goes on, the science of the paints, what you're putting on there, why you're putting it on there.
Yeah.
Just try to
when not to.
when not to, and how to clean up.
Yeah.
I had a painter over on a high school job, and we had this real intricate railing system. It was a woven steel mat that went on the sides of the railings, and he did a wonderful job. It was painted orange, and his name was Eric, and I young man, and I said, "Eric, you put a finish on that like a car. Have you ever painted a car?" And he was painting, and he says, 136. I said, "Really?" He said, "All at the same time." I said, "How'd you do that?" I was painting tilt panels, and it drifted over into the parking lot. I had to clean it. I said, "Oh, so you don't paint cars anymore?" Nope.
Yeah, that's something you got to worry about is the wind drift for painting on,
Yep.
especially the exterior of the building. That's
Absolutely.
a tricky one to watch the wind because it does. I did a job in Tampa, and we had stripped the site, and we had these large burners, and we dug a pit. We were allowed to burn the trash, and the head on them is about 12 feet long, and it just blows air down into the pit.
Right.
So we're burning all of the strippings on the site that we can instead of hauling it off. And about 4 o'clock, the car pulls in on the job site, and I'm going, "Oh, they don't look like they belong here. It's a BMW." And guy gets out and he says, "I need to talk to superintendent of the project." And I looked around. Damn, I'm the only one here.
Uh-huh.
"Well, how can I help you?" He said, "There's soot all over almost every car in my parking lot at the hospital." I'm going, "Oh no." So we go right over. I take a look at it, and I call up the civil guy, and I said, "I need every man you got and a whole bunch of garden hoses." And there was probably 60, 70 cars they had to wash.
All of them had covered with soot.
All of them were covered with the ash and the soot. And it really showed up on a white car. Black car didn't show up too much on, but a white car, it looked like you turned it gray. And they washed them. They got done about 7:38 that night. been
When we started Toho High School, 80-acre green site, we're out there stripping, and it was dry. It was the middle of the winter, and the as the grass came off and the old brown dirt was up there just laying there, kind of the same thing. We ended up cleaning 14 pools in the neighborhood next door because the wind blew real hard that one time out of the north, and every one of the homeowners in that subdivision, we cleaned pools. And then after that, we got a water truck.
there wasn't enough uh, water trucks to keep that
To
thing
handle it,
wet.
no, you could run it all day and it didn't matter.
You couldn't put enough water on that thing. So, we talked about a lot of things that have gone on in this project. If you were just to describe a role as a superintendent in a word or a sentence, what would you say?
I'd say he's a ringleader. He's got
Yeah.
the whole circus going on around him, and he's standing in the middle of the ring. And he's got to be the guy that directs and make sure that that guy doesn't get run over, that guy doesn't fall off a log, that guy doesn't get bit by a lion. So you are a ringleader. You got all those people and personalities
Yeah.
to make it work.
Yeah. I agree with that because you're almost a conductor, like the guy doing the music in front. He's
Exactly.
got the whole orchestra. Everybody's watching him and following direction.
And looking for direction.
And looking for direction. And you have to know the job because you can't stutter or they'll catch up to you. So you and I've had a long career in this industry. What do you enjoy most about your job as a superintendent, general superintendent?
I think I enjoy the control most. I like having control of the job, but along with that goes pride because we ride around and I say, I built that and I built that and I built that and show pictures of some of the stuff I built overseas. I think having control of a job to me is exciting. It's stressful sometimes, but I handle stress very well. I don't yell. I don't scream. I get
That's a
jobs
rare
done.
trait in a superintendent.
It
you
is.
know.
If I see a subcontractor stumbling, I don't go out there and yell at him. I help him. I go find out a way that I can take some of the burden off of him to make his life a little bit easier so he can get back on track.
And they're probably very appreciative of it
They are
because
very
when
appreciative.
you throw out those negative chewings and cussings and stuff,
Nope.
they're going to respond more to it and they're going to remember you. And sometimes they'll actually bring a point to you and say, hey, this is missing, but I don't have anything to do with it, but it's missing.
Yep.
And,
Yeah, they come back to help you. I mean, you build that relationship with them. I'm a big believer in relationships with your workers.
Yeah.
Not only the subcontractors, but the workers in the field. Once a month, I try to feed everybody. It might be pizza, it might be barbecue, something easy, something. They appreciate that.
Yeah.
And they look up to you for that. And that goes along with the pride of being the general superintendent.
And, it doesn't matter if you've got 50 or 250 people on the site.
Exactly.
That meal that you provide means a lot to them.
A lot more than just a meal.
Yeah, and it gives it a chance, and you give them, and when you have those meals, you give them a chance to talk.
Yep.
And they sit down and meet one
And
another.
it's a great safety meeting. I mean, that's when you get everybody on the whole page at one time.
Yeah, we always used to do the safeties and top outs and things, have a good safety meeting, and you'd be surprised that you can stand up there and preach safety, but in our overall goal, we have to change the mindset of the individual to use the safety gear that they have.
To want to.
Yep. To get them to understand and believe that those safety glasses are there for a reason. I had an experience with that where I was at home, wasn't wearing them. My kids had hung a paint roller on a tree limb that they had used for one of their projects. I'm on the mower, boom, hit me right in the eye, cut the white of my eye.
Mm-hmm.
If I'd had safety glasses on mowing, I would not have had that problem. Wound up in the hospital getting it treated. The next day, Monday, going and getting more medical for it. But one pair of safety glasses and
would have taken care of that.
Yeah, and you don't realize how critical and important your eyesight is, along with any other parts of your body.
Absolutely.
So I liked one of the things I've enjoyed most about being a superintendent in my life was building things.
Absolutely.
I love
seeing it come together.
I love the see it on a drawing, and then you look at it, you develop your plan, where you're starting first, most important, the deepest work, the quickest, huddling with the teams to get them in there. And you always get the one or two people that doesn't want to help, but then they figure it out later on. If they will get in there and talk and work, their job's going to be a whole lot easier. Their timing's going to be accurate, and the flow of the project and the schedule is so much more smooth that you don't have challenges yet. You have your subs that do a little bit of challenges, but like you just said, you get in there and work with them, let them know you're there to be with them.
Absolutely.
I love seeing the buildings built. I love seeing the time and the project. And then when I'm walking down the street or I'm driving around, I've worked at theme parks and multiple places around Central Florida, Kentucky, Indiana, the Carolinas, and it's always fun to go see those. And one of my jobs was at one of the theme parks, and the kids walked through and looked up and said, "You see that there? I put all that trim in. You see all those doors? I did all those doors. You see that building over there? I was on the team and the crew that poured the foundations." And they always have an interest in it. So, what do you think would be some key strengths that a superintendent should have or work toward? Or
They should always ask questions. I have never sent somebody away when they said, "Hey, I got a question. You got a minute?" Absolutely. As a general, you should know it.
right?
And if you don't know it, you can help him find a person that does know it. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to come up to me or anybody else on my team and say, "I don't understand what this is. I don't know how to do this. I found a better way to do this. Can we do it like this?"
Right.
Just communication, ask and be part of the team. And then you'll gradually become the part of the team and be up in the level that we're at.
It's very important for a superintendent to be approachable.
Yes,
You don't want to be that hardcore person that people,
exactly.
you
That's what I
want to
mean.
be approachable.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah. And you're going to get a lot of questions you don't like, but that's the way you work through the project. But being approachable and remaining open so that they don't have any questions or reservations about talking to you.
Exactly.
And I worked with a guy. His name was Bob. When we were on the job, he knew everybody by their first name,
Right.
and he knew a little bit about them. And every morning, as he walked the job, he would say hello to them.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things I like to do on the project. If it's the guy shoveling or cleaning trash, or the iron workers setting, or the drywall hangers, or finishers, the trim guys, the cabinet guys, always stop and say hi to them, talk to them a minute. It may take a little bit of time in your day, but it's a relationship you're building, and that is important to the project and the project team.
And I can't tell you how much they appreciate that.
Yeah.
They're like, they can go home and tell their wife, "I talked to the big boss today. We had a nice conversation. He told me happy Friday." I've always wanted to be that guy, and now I am. So
Yeah.
it worked out well.
And a superintendent, they're learning how to ask questions, learning how to solve problems, learning how to think their way through situations, learning how to set up a job as they grow through the industry. Those are some key elements that will help them. But you got to remember, you mentioned earlier about questions and stuff. When you're answering questions, we more than most of the times already know the building and the property and the situations, the plans, the specs. We've looked at the submittals. We can give them guidance. But the one thing that I feel important is to teach these young guys to do their homework.
Absolutely. You look first.
Yeah, go look. And have you looked at the plans, the specs, the contract, the drawings, the shops? Have you
Dig
looked
into it.
through?
And if you haven't, I can help you.
Or if you don't know how, let me teach you. It's easy to find.
Yep.
And we have AI out now, which is a great tool, because in some of the programs you can ask it a question in your iPad,
Right.
and ask it, where do we have ceramic tile on the project, and it'll answer it
up.
and show you, and it pops it up.
I love it when they come into my office. "Hey, boss, we got a problem." "All right, what's our opportunities today?" Turn it around.
Oh yeah, we can make some fun with it.
Don't lose any sleep over it.
No, but teaching them how to do that is critical for them.
Yes, to move
to
them
move
on
them
up.
forward and help them move up. And there's a gap in our industry, and our one of the things we like to see done is feel that they've got to learn a lot quicker because there's fewer of us up there than there are coming behind, and there's a gap between us
Big gap.
that we need to help them learn. And coaching, mentoring, taking the time to talk to them, letting them know that whatever happens, we can solve it. We can work through it.
It's not
We
the
can
end of the
plan.
world.
It's not the end of the world.
Might cost a little money and time, but as my old president used to say, there's no problem out there big enough that you can't throw enough money at it to fix it.
I used to have a president of the company that sarcastically used to say, "Throw money at it, it'll go away."
It'll go away.
You know, those are the good times. Although he was a little rough at saying it, we knew what he meant. But you have to take care of it. When you're done with a job, you have a quality project and something you can be proud of.
Something you can be proud of.
Yeah, when you walk away.
Yep.
Well, Phil, thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having me. It's been a great visit. Look forward to the next one.
I want to thank Colony Hardware and Safety for supplying our safety gear that we have here in our podcast. We appreciate their support. And
See you next time.
see you next time, Phil. It's great having you. And who knows? I like that you came to the job today. You did a peer walk with me. I love having an extra pair of eyes to think about things. You see stuff that sometimes falls through. And I appreciate your time coming out and doing it. I'd like to do it again in the future.
I'd like that a lot.
Well, thank you. This is Joe and Joe on the Job Site. And thank you for being with us today. We'll see you in another week.